All right, so today I'm going to talk about oppositional defiant disorder. And that is the DSM essentially has a list of rules, but it's really just a child that is irritable, so angry, can snap at people, is easily annoyed, is angry, argues with parents. So parents tell him to do something, and the child doesn't do it. The child will deliberately annoy people and just to get attention. And when they do get in trouble, they'll blame others for things that they've done. And sometimes they can be vindictive or try to get even with people. And those are the DSM criteria for oppositional defiant disorder. Oppositional defiant disorder is very common in ADHD. It's very common in ADHD, and it's almost very rare when a child gets diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder or ODD and they don't have ADHD. And so, if you look back, if you're curious about what ADHD is, it's important. You can check out my last video, but um, I'm just going to give you an example of like what an ODD interaction looks like because ODD is just as much and I think more a diagnosis of the parents of the child than really the child, him or his or herself. And so that's why a lot of psychologists are reluctant to diagnose oppositional defiant disorder because it's really kind of labeling the child unfairly, if that makes sense. So let me explain to you what this let me just break down an interaction of oppositional defiant disorder. So let's take Johnny, right? So Johnny has ADHD, and what we know about ADHD, right, is that they're impulsive, they have difficulty paying attention, they have difficulty finishing tasks, they can get distracted easily when they're trying to do a task, and so Johnny has ADHD, and Johnny's mom tells Johnny it's the morning, they're getting ready for school. Johnny's mom is getting ready for work. They're running late. Johnny's mom tells Johnny, "Hey, Johnny, put on your shoes." So Johnny actually goes to do what his mom tells him. He goes to put on his shoes, but he can't find his shoes. So he goes into his room and he realizes, oh, his shoes are in his room. So he sees his shoes, but he also sees his Nintendo Switch, which is sitting right there by his shoes. And then he's like, yeah, maybe I can grab the Nintendo Switch and play it for a second, or I can just grab my shoes like my mom said. And then he's like, yeah, the Nintendo Switch is more fun. And if I put on my shoes, I'm going to have to get in the car and I'm going to have to go to school. And I don't want to go to school. So Johnny, gets distracted, grabs his Nintendo Switch and starts playing it, right? So the mom, understandably, is like expecting him to have his shoes on. She walks in. He's in his room playing his Nintendo Switch. His shoes aren't on. And they're now running even, 10 minutes late or 15 minutes late. She's going to be late to work. He's going to be late for school. So understandably, she's upset. She asked him to put on his shoes. He didn't put on his shoes. But from Johnny's perspective, he's like, well, I was going to put on my shoes. I went to go put them on, but I just got distracted. I have ADHD. I get distracted, right? So that's kind of what's going on. And what transpires is the mom assumes that Johnny is actively trying to break her rules, that he's actively trying to do this when really he just got distracted. So then she responds with anger. She goes, I told you to put on your shoes. Why didn't you put on your shoes? Put on your shoes now. So the mom is coming in and getting angry at Johnny. And then Johnny responds back with more anger. He goes, no. And then throws the shoes at mom. Mom gets hit in the face with the shoe. And then mom starts breaking down and crying because she doesn't know what to do. And then they end up in a psychologist's office. So, as I pointed out, the mom was the one who first got angry in that situation. The kid was responding back to the mom with anger, right? So that happens a lot in an oppositional defiant disorder reaction. Now, let me take this and look at it in a different way. Let's say mom comes in and calmly says, "Hey Johnny, did you get distracted by your game when you were coming in to put on your shoes? Well, let me help you here. What I want you to do is I want you to grab your shoes and come to the door. Okay. I want you to put your right shoe on your right foot. Okay. Remember how to tie the shoes. If mom did that, is the child going to throw the shoe? No, child's not going to throw the shoe, right? So that's why I'm saying it's a lot of times it's the parents, and that's why the treatment for oppositional defiant disorder is to help the parents recognize that, help the parents understand, like, hey, your child has ADHD, and most likely, there are some cases where kids with ODD don't have ADHD, but in a lot of cases, your child has ADHD. They're gonna get sidetracked with stuff, and I know it's frustrating, and I know it's frustrating to be late for school, and I know that you just want a kid that just does what you ask them to do. Um, but you don't have that kid. Your child has ADHD, so you have to, you know, you have to help them and be calm, because if you respond with anger towards them, they're going to be angry back towards you, and that's really what happens. So you get these cycles of negative interactions between the parent and the child, and the child also, honestly, um, you know, adults, we expect kids to put on their shoes. Like, and that's the problem, is that the expectation of the mom is that he's just going to put the shoes on. So when he does actually follow the directions, when he does actually put the shoes on, or when mom's sitting at dinner and she asks Johnny to pass the ketchup and he passed the ketchup, that's expected, right? It's not something that we say, oh, we're gonna give our kid attention for passing the ketchup or putting on shoes. But so those things are accepted, even though for a kid with ADHD, maybe doing that is hard. And so because that's the expectation, there's no positive attention for doing those things, right? But when they don't do it, there's negative attention. There's anger. And so the child with ODD, they learn, hey, the only way for me to get my mom's attention or my dad's attention or my teacher's attention is to act angry, is to be defiant, is to deliberately annoy people. So if I can't get positive attention and positive reinforcement, then I'm gonna act angry and I'm gonna try to get their attention in a negative way, and I'm gonna be annoying, and I'm gonna be more annoying, and so that's really what this behavior comes from. And so how do we get rid of it? That's the question you might be asking. And the answer is to give the child the reinforcement. So you're going to want to give the child the positive reinforcement that they need for those little things, like when they put on their shoe, like wow, thank you for putting on your shoes. I really appreciate you putting on your shoes really quickly so I could get to work on time. Thank you. Or thank you for passing me the ketchup. I appreciate you listening and following through. Thank you for picking up your room. Those things, little things that maybe we expect our kids, a child with ADHD to do. We need to say thank you, and we need to praise them. And in a lot of cases, if the behavior gets bad, we set up what's called the token economy, where a child can get tickets for being compliant, for doing things that their parents ask them to do, which means they're getting positive attention for following through, and they learn that that they can get positive attention by being compliant. And in my experience with the treatment using the token economy, that corrects the oppositional defiant disorder behavior most of the time. Really, when the token economy, and to be clear, a token economy is giving a child a ticket, or giving a child a poker chip, or giving them some kind of thing every time they're compliant with a request made by the parent. And they can save up their tickets, like at Chuck E. Cheese, to get something that they want. It can be a trip, it can be a gaming system, or a video game, or something that they really really want, and they can save up tickets and get it. And so that teaches them that to be more compliant. And it also wires the parents' brains to look for positive things that their kids are doing instead of just getting pissed off when they don't do what they're being asked to do, right? So that's how the whole token economy system works for oppositional defiant disorder, and that's the best treatment for it. And so I hope that you enjoy this video, and please leave some comments. I had one comment from the last video, but please leave some comments. I'm going to try to be better at responding to them. And thank you so much for watching.